Alright, what's up YouTube? Welcome to another tutorial. Today we're going to be talking about media queries in HTML email. If you don't know what media queries are, they are essentially just a small bit of text, nothing to worry about at all. It's just a tiny bit of code which says when the screen size is whatever we say it is, do whatever we want it to do. So we could say for an image that's maybe 100% width, we can say, Joel, when this is on a mobile phone, I want it to be half the size. For some reason you can do that, or I most commonly use it to fix padding on cells. So say on a desktop maybe we've got 48 pixels of padding at the sides, and on mobile that's going to be quite a waste of space because the screen's so small, so we'll want to reduce that to maybe 16 or 24 or whatever. That's exactly what you'd use it for, and you can change the font styles, you can change the color, the line height, all that stuff. So basically you can apply media queries to, I think, anything with a tag. So for example, let's have a look here. So we've got a logo here, so that's this top red cell up here, and all that is a cell that's aligned to the left. It's got a background color of the red, it's got padding 20 pixels at the top and the bottom above the logo there, and 50 at the left and to the right there, and that's all it's doing. And then it's linking to my website. Target blank says it's opening in a new window. Image source blah 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 blah, that's where my image is, and then that image also has a style. So within this there are two tags that we could potentially add classes to. So we could add a class to the cell. So the cell is this TD here, so if we were going to change the styling on this, we could change anything that's inside the style here. So, and you can add in extra stuff as well, or we could add something, we could add a class to the image and make the image do something. So for example, let's do the cell first, and rather than it having 20 pixels top and bottom and 50 left and right, let's keep it 20 and change it from 50 to 30 when we go onto desktop, so onto mobile, sorry. So here, anywhere inside the tag you can do it. I like to do it at the beginning just because I find it easier to see. You just write class equals, and then in the quotation marks we're going to give it a class, so let's call this logo wrap. And you can't have spaces in the class name, so if you want a space you use an underscore or a dash or something like that. So let's call this logo wrap, and then we'll come up to the top. If you've done my other videos you'll know that we have already got a section here. So here's for our media query, so it says at media screen max width 640 pixels. So anything that's, as soon as the email is viewed in something that's smaller than 640 pixels, we're going to do some changes. And you can add multiple of these, or you can change whatever width you want. Just over the years I found that this is the best. It sort of works for everything, and you'll see here we already have one set up. I always like to leave one in here so I can follow suit and make sure I'm sort of formatting it in the right way, because when you're writing code out sometimes you forget. So you just do a dot, and as soon as you do a dot it says that we're targeting a class. So this is targeting class mobile full width, that's the name of the class, and as you can guess, when something is on mobile it will display full width, and that's what I add to all of my images. My friend Gareth came up with a while back, and we've just both been using that forever. So if you have a look here at my hero image, the cell doesn't have a class, right? There's the cell tag, but here's the image tag next. You've got image source comes to here, telling it to be 600 width, automatic height, border 0, style, display block, which means it's going to fill up the space, max width 600 px, width 100%, border style none. You've got to put all that stuff in. Alt text, what's happened and what's displaying if there's a screen reader reading it. So now we need to add in a class here. Sorry, I thought I already had one. So I would put it inside the image tag, and I'd just write class mobile full width, and because we've already written it up there in our media queries it appears for us here, so that's great. Save that, and let's just add that class on. So we can just copy that and we'll add it to this next image. So this is actually an image here. That is the thumbnail from another YouTube tutorial of mine. So this is an email that I sent out to my subscribers just saying, hey, I've got a new video out. It's probably quite boring. So if we come down and just find that image, so I've got project image here. Here it is, and look, I forgot to remove it earlier, so it's already here, but at the moment you see it's after the style, so it's not inside the style, it's after, so that if we wanted could be here. it doesn't really matter, just make sure there's a space either side of it. So just as long as it's inside the tag, that's fine. So now if I refresh this, because we've made some changes, if I drag this window in, there you go, you can see, oh, I've got my Figma in the background there, that those images are resizing and they're staying 100%. Another good way to check, rather than dragging the window in, is if you press Control and click or right click, you can go to inspect, and then up here you can choose what device you're inspecting it on. So let's have a look. This is what it looks like on a Moto G4, whatever phone that is. There you go. So you can see the images are correct, but all of the text looks a bit big and there's big gaps at the side, so we can fix that quite easily. So we hit this cross to come out there. So back to where we started. Logo, so we've added in a class logo wrap. So up here in our media queries, we're just going to come down to a new line. We're going to write dot logo wrap, and then we do curly square brackets, and it adds in the second one for us, and we just need to put whatever our changes we want to happen inside those two. So I'm going to just hit a return here, return again, and then I'm going to say we want padding left to be, what do we say, 20 pixels. And then this is the important thing, so we write 20px, and usually if we're writing styles we do semicolon and write the next one, but here we don't do a semicolon yet, we do an exclamation mark, write the word important, and then do the semicolon. And that important sort of bit of code means that it sort of forces the override. Okay, so we go padding left, and then what we can do is we can actually just copy that, paste it, and we'll go padding right. Save, so then it's going to have 20 top and bottom because it already had that, we don't need to change that. Just keep our code as light as possible, and as we drag this in, now you can see that this is further over to the left. So this is about here, whereas this is still padded in 50. Easy, right? If we wanted to change the size of this image, we can. Okay, I wouldn't want to, but sometimes you might have quite a big icon, you want to make it smaller or something like that. So we've added a class to the cell itself, that's why we've called it a wrap, so it's wrapping our image, and on the actual image itself we can give this a class of, let's just call it logo icon. So up here we just hit return, we write out logo icon, curly square brackets, return, and we'll go width. What should we do? So here it's 50, height auto, so let's just test it. Let's go 10 pixels, make it really small, and just see if that works. There it is, look how tiny it is now. So obviously we don't want to do that, but maybe we might want to make it like a tiny bit smaller. So maybe let's go 40, save, refresh, inspect. And there you go, so it's not too out of place there. Or again, if you wanted to, you could go crazy, make it 100, and you just sort of, sometimes it's good to just emphasize it, put crazy numbers in there just so you can definitely check that it is working. Doesn't look like that it's that much bigger, does it? Let's refresh. I think because it's still got a max width on it here, so here we go, max width 50, so if I put max width 150 in here, there you go, it can go nice and big. So it was being blocked by this, so that's one way around it. Or let's see if we can put in here, I'm not sure if this will work, but if we put max width 150 pixels here and see, and if we write this important tag, then this max width should in theory overwrite this max width. So we save, refresh over here, and it has in fact worked. So you can see down here it's set at 50 and it was blocking it before, but now we've overwritten it up here, it now works. So that's how we do that, but I'm not going to do that because I think that looks stupid, so I'm going to remove that class there, don't need it, save, refresh, and we should be back in business. Okay, great. So going down, hero image, we've already done that. Did we do that? Did we do that? I thought I did. Perhaps I didn't. This is embarrassing, isn't it? Oh yeah, we did. There we go. It's very early in the morning. I say that, you can see my clock, it's 8:43, it's not that early. Okay, anyway, right, we've done that. So next up is an H1. So this is our header one, this is our biggest header here. So we can see the styles we've got here. Let's just remove that for a minute. So the styles we have here in the cell, so there's only one tag here and everything is styled inside that cell, so we only have one option here. So we're telling it to align left, it's got background color, and here's the styles that we can change. So we've got padding top 40, 50 at the left and right, and 20 at the bottom. Okay, so let's say we just, and font size 36, line height 44. So maybe we might want to reduce the size of that H1 when we go down to mobile, and we'll remove some space at the sides. So we'll give this a class, so we'll give the whole cell a class, we'll call it H1 like that. We'll come up to our media queries, we'll add a new one, which we know how to do by now, and we can just copy this rather than writing it out again. That's fine to do that. So we're going to write, and if this ever happens and it starts to get really messy, you can just tab this stuff across. It doesn't matter how far anything's tabbed across, it won't affect the code. So we've got exactly the same again, so we know that this is going to jump in a little bit. So if we refresh and inspect, we should see less padding at the sides here. So we haven't applied that style to this second bit yet. We'll get to that next. So that's good, that's working. And maybe we want to drop the font size. So we write font size, so it was 36, so let's go maybe 24. And then we'll do line height. What's 24? Forgive my maths, this is how I do line height. 24 times 1.2 is 28.8, let's go 29. We write important. Let's save this, refresh this, and then we'll see. I'm just going to quit my Figma so it's not underneath us. Okay, we scroll this in. I've got my bloody emails there, haven't I? No one needs to see that. So let's have a look. Okay, you can see this is much smaller text now. That's looking good. Maybe 40 is a bit too much at the top, so we can actually just add in one more of these. Rather than typing it out, we can copy. And instead of padding left, let's make it padding top. And I'll drop it to 30, and it should look a bit better. Alright, there we go, that's looking good. So next we have our next sort of subheader, which I'm going to call, here it's called an H3 because I've had H1, 2, 3 and 4 in this sort of email series going forwards, but for argument's sake, let's say we're just doing one email and we've got two headers, one's an H1, one's an H2, so H2 is smaller, so we'll give this a class. It already had one of H3, let's give it one of H2. So you can see we're just applying this to the cell again, so exactly the same as above here. And we can copy this whole thing, change this to H2, and let's have a look at what padding did the H2 originally have. So it's got 0 at the top, 50 at the left and right, and 50 at the bottom. So we'll remove the top one, or we'll change the top one to bottom. So we're going to take it from 50 to 30, so it matches above the H1. We're going to keep left and right here, and then the font size was 18 and 27, and I reckon that's okay to keep that like that, so I'm going to delete the font size changes, refresh here, inspect, and there we go. Now it's looking good. Maybe there's a bit too much space above there, so if we did think that there was too much space in between those two, let's have a look. H1 has got padding at the top, H2's got padding at the bottom, so which one has actually got padding? So this one I think has got the padding which is affecting it. So we've got padding bottom 20. So H1 we could add a padding bottom and change it to 10 or 15 or something. Let's refresh this, inspect, and there we go. That's looking pretty tidy. All this personal preference, obviously, you're designers, you can do whatever you like. This is just what I'm doing here. So next up we have our project wrapper. So in here I've got a row with a cell, and I'm calling that whole cell project wrapper, and that is wrapping this image, this text, and this call to action here. So you can see I've got project image, project paragraph, and project call to action, and all of this is sitting inside a table here, which is inside the first cell. So we're back into that tableception stuff that we were talking about in original tutorials. So I don't need to give this a class if I don't want to. I've given it one called Project Wrap. It just helps me know what's going on and gives me the ability to change stuff if I want to. And I've just said that this whole table has got 50 pixels padding at the bottom, which is down here, I assume. It was a while ago since I did this, so let's just check by changing that to like 200. Let's refresh, and there you go, you can see that's added in there. So let's take that back to 50. I don't think we need to change any of that on mobile, so actually we can just remove that class. So project image, as before, we want to just make sure that the image has got mobile full width, which we added in earlier. So image, open of the image tag here, and inside it got class mobile full width. If any of this ever looks really confusing to you, by the way, you can just add in sort of spaces like this, which sometimes help to see what's going on. So I know, okay, I've got a row, then I've got the start of the cell. Inside that cell I've got a link, which is going to open in a new window, and inside that link is an image, and if you click on the image tag, it will show you actually that's the whole image tag. If you click on something that's got an opening and a closing, so like an A, so a link tag here, you click on it, it's got a tiny little underline here, and you can see where it ends, tiny little underline here, so you can see what's inside that whole thing. I've just segued there. Anyway, if you want to add spaces in, that's fine, it's just up to you how it looks. So project paragraph, so this has got a class of P, short for paragraph. You can do whatever naming convention you like. I like P, so let's have a look. This has got 40 top, 50 right, 0 bottom, 50 left. So we're going to want to make this match everything else. So we're going to want to put 30 either side, and we're going to need to do the same with the call to action, which you can see here I gave the same class, right? So if we come up here, then we can just take one of these. Actually, we can take logo wrap because that's the exact style that we want. We can call this .p, and 20 left and right. Refresh this, inspect, and it should just be done. And there it is, you can see 20 left and right there, so it's all lining up on the left, so that's looking good. Bit spacey at the top and the bottom actually, so let's have a look. How do we fix that? I'm actually, in order to fix this, so you see this has got 40 pixels padding at the top, this one. If I was to change this to say 20, then it's going to change 20 above this as well, because you've given this the same class. So I'm actually going to call this CTA underscore wrap and keep this one as P. If I come back up to the top here, I can duplicate this, call this CTA wrap. And then on the P we can say padding top, and we'll reduce that to 20 pixels. And that should, in theory, just fix everything. Well, the top of it. Uh-oh, something's gone wrong. Aha! There's an extra Y in here, so if I remove that Y, I spelt it wrong. That's good that you saw that. There you go, that works. So that wasn't having that 20 pixels forced padding applied because I'd spelt the class wrong. So you have to get it correct, and you have to understand that they are case sensitive as well. So if you did it in capitals, you have to match how you've done it. Okay, it is case sensitive. So now we need to remove this space here, which we know, which is probably why I had that project wrap, if you remember, on this original cell up here. So we're going to give this a class project wrap, and that should be quite an easy one. We're just going to change the padding at the bottom, so we go dot, can't spell to save my life, project underscore wrap, curly square brackets, padding bottom is going to be 20 pixels, important, save, refresh, ta-da, and there we go. So it's all looking very compressed at the moment. I don't think I should have gone to 20 pixels. I probably should have done 30 all round, but it's too late for me. You can save yourselves out there. Last but not least, let's just adjust the padding on the footer. So here's our footer down here, this whole section. So what have we got? We've got a row, and then a cell with the padding on it, and then inside that is a table with one row and lots of cells for these. So let's target this big red cell. It's got a class here of footer, so we can come up to the top, and we're just going to copy this logo wrap one because that's all we need is the padding left and right. And change it to footer. I mean, if we're being pedantic, we should probably say it should footer wrap so it matches all the way the naming convention of all the rest. Refresh. And there we go, that's now in line. Now, do we want to do anything to these icons? Probably not. I feel like they're big enough. And also because they're clickable with the thumb, you don't want to make them too small and then they're too close together and so you can't click on them. So you sort of think about the user experience a little bit there. Let's just have a look what we've got. We've got image, width auto, height 24. So if we gave this a class, let's call it class social icon, for example, and they've got padding, they've all got 15 pixels padding to the right and their height is 24. So let's change some of that. Let's do social underscore icon, curly square brackets. We'll write height, what did I say, 24, so maybe let's make them 36 for example. And we'll make padding right 50 pixels just so you can see what's going on. Let's save this, and because I've only done it to the first one, to the dribble logo, that should be the only one that changes. It's broken everything. Okay, so you see how this is sliding around. Something is definitely broken here. Let's have a look what's happened. So footer wrap is fine. It already had a class of social icon, didn't it? So I've just changed them all. Okay, so I can remove that one. So what's happened is I've changed all of these. They're all big and they've all got loads of padding to the right, so they're not actually fitting inside the 640 pixel constraints that we have set. So what we need to do is we come back up here and we're going to remove that padding there. Let's save and refresh. So now they're here and they're bigger. They do look stupid, to be honest. So we can just keep them at 24 how they were before. That looks good, and actually we don't need to do anything there. We can just delete that whole thing. That was just sort of an example to show you how things sometimes go wrong, how to locate them, how to fix them. That looks good. So actually the final thing is the unsubscribe thing here. It looks a bit weird padded over there. So here we go, it's got a class of unsubscribe. So we know by now we can just take this footer wrap, come down here, let's change it to just class of unsubscribe. Save, refresh, and now that is bumped over to the left. So that's essentially in a nutshell how you do it. That didn't take too long to turn that whole thing into sort of a mobile responsive email. You can go crazy with it. You just need to make sure whatever tag you're targeting, you're changing the style in there. Okay, so for example, this cell here is where we've put the class name, so we can only change the styles on that cell, and you can add in new ones. So look, this in the style here you've got just padding, so you could add a display property to it. So for example, here's a good one. Let's say on mobile we don't actually, for some reason, we don't want to show this whole project. I don't know why you would do that, but maybe you did. Maybe you want to show mobile users different content for some reason. So what you would do is, so we've got project wrap, we've already given it a class, and we know that this is wrapping everything inside here. So whatever we apply to this will sort of generally apply to everything inside it. So what we're going to do, we'll give it a display property of none. So in here, let's remove this. Let's write display none. Important, and then what that's going to do is tell it to not display. So let's refresh, inspect, and it's gone. There you go. That is how you do it. I hope you learned something. Any questions, give me a shout in the comments, and have a lovely day. Bye!